Thank you for your questions. I will reply to it a little bit later, okay? Thank you, friends. All right, so we could see that according to these dimensions, there are 4 sorts of symptoms, like somatoform and or psychosomatic disorders, or stress and adjustment disorders, or obsessions, or compulsive disorder would be considered as achievements. Contacts, relationship, or depression would be considered as escape into a social domain. Distortion of social behavior. Anxiety, disorders, phobia, psychosis is escape into fantasies. We still use the same model. Well, another very, very powerful tool that was created by Piasecki is the concept of basic and actual capabilities. Basically, Piasecki said that we are all good by nature, but many humanists said this. Indeed, it means that to be good by nature means that we have 2 basic capacities: capacity to love and capacity to know. And from this idea, he created the powerful tool for analytic work that actually, I can say, the core of positive psychotherapy. Look at these words, this list. Piasecki made a great investigation. He examined about 30 something different cultures, and he came to the conclusion that every particular person, no matter of age, no matter of race, education, that we are all possessed of these so-called actual capabilities. So actual capabilities are behavioral and social norms of values. Look at these words. You're all familiar with this: punctuality, cleanliness, contact, sexuality, justice, and so on. They divide in these 2 groups: secondary capabilities and primary capabilities, because primary capabilities are more emotional. We develop these capacities by following the model. We look to our parents or parent figures, and without any explanation, we could see how they patient with us, how they're loving, how they spend time with us, how they're confident, how they believe in us. And later on, we try to operate with this existing relationship through secondary capabilities: punctuality, cleanliness. When child wants to get an apple and gets an instruction, go wash your hands first, or never argue with adults, and so on. So an interesting thing here, that these norms all people possess, but we value these norms very differently. Let's say if we talk about punctuality, all of us have this punctuality, but the punctuality means for us very different things. One person will be in trouble after 5 minutes being late, another feel good being late for 1 or 2 hours. Okay, so in this context, you could see that all these actual capabilities are involved in different contexts. Basically, absolutely every conflict in its content has one of these capacities. Let's say you have a conflict with your friend or partner. If you look carefully what this conflict is about, it would be about justice or cleanliness or punctuality, about trust, reliability. So, of course, our clients time in terms of actual capabilities. Sometimes they use some synonyms. They give some expressions. Get up now or you'll be late. The only time you were punctual was when you were born. So that's about punctuality or obedience. Once you have forgotten half of what I told you, reliability. So through these explanations of our clients, we could identify the qualities and capacities that stay behind this conflict. Positive psychotherapy, when it was just created, had a original name differential analysis, because the main goal of positive psychotherapy is to develop ability to differentiate between these norms. We're not always aware why we become so emotional about this or that norm. And for this reason, we have different sorts of conflicts. But the tool of positive psychotherapy here is very simple, comprehensive, and accessible. You know, if you look at different concepts of psychotherapy, you could see that some of them are just brilliant. Some of them are so good, but the problem of these methods that they are so difficult, they're so complex, so only specialists can really understand what this is about. In positive psychotherapy, we make a big accent and emphasis to self-help. We try to help a client to stay in a more active position and try to be a master of your life. Being able to differentiate between 4 dimensions of life, being able to differentiate between values and conflicts content, that is actual capabilities. So here's basic principles here of positive psychotherapy. So all our work is based on positive and transcultural approach, where we could see symptoms as a solution of inner conflicts. We have different sorts of conflicts, but basically we believe in these so-called salutogenetic principles. Not pathogenetic, but salutogenetic. So how we can maintain a health? How can we effectively keep our life in balance? Everybody know how to make problems. Not everybody know how to deal with them. So with these tools, we could really be quite effective, raising our awareness of what is going on, trying to understand what particular norm is behind. You know, I will explain you what I mean by this slide. We're all full of conflicts. So actual conflicts, this quite a superficial sort of conflicts. We are all full of different conflicts. You know, you go out and it's quite cold. You are not dressed good enough. So this is not one conflict. Or you are surprised with the behavior of your partner, or you're disappointed by the system and so on. This is actual conflict. But the energy of actual conflict basically not enough to create symptoms. We do not easily get sick of any source of conflict, right? So how does it happen when a conflict creates an energy that cause symptoms? In order this to happen, we need basic conflict. What is basic conflict? Basic conflict, this is a family concept that in actual life situation does not work anymore. Let's say when you were a child, you were raised as in a concept that relatives is the only people you may truly trust. So when you're a child and you're surrounded with your relatives, you have no problem with this. You love your relatives, then you can trust them and they take care of you and everything is fine. But let's imagine in your actual life, you're an adult, you have business with your relative. And then finally you have problem with the business, and business collapse, or maybe your relative does something wrong and business just bankrupt. So now your concept is in trouble. This person is still your relative, but you cannot trust this person anymore. So it means that energy of basic concept that become now conflictual creates additional energy to an actual life situation. And these two energy of these two conflicts create inner conflict. Inner conflict, so-called neurotic conflict or unconscious conflict. Neurotic conflict or unconscious conflict actually represents a pattern of behavior which you're not aware of. Basically, inner conflict repeats the content of your basic conflict. It means that you tend to behave as you did in your past, that at that time worked when you were a child, but it doesn't work now. So this inner conflict creates an energy, a great that is reduced by symptoms. This is the moment where symptoms become temporary compromise. Let's say headache puts aside the conflict for a while. Now you're more occupied with your health, and these symptoms could influence your environment, and your partner or your colleague, they change their behavior towards you. They want to support you. So it doesn't mean you manipulate. Well, in a sense, of course, but basically you're trying to reduce this inner tension. I give you another example here. Let's say if somebody disobey you, somebody doesn't follow what you say, that's a problem of obedience. Well, that's okay. No, we are not a boss of everybody. Of course, sometimes people do not do what we expect them to do. But sometimes disobedience brings such a deep emotions. Now it's not just about obedience. Now it's more about attitude. Now it's more about relationship. This is a sign that the basic conflict provoked. When somebody doesn't follow my rules, it means that some concept about obedience from my childhood now plays a more important role. Now it's not just obedience. Now it's about, do you respect me? Or do you value me as a person? Yes, I do value you as a person, but I just don't want to follow your rules. You see, normally, if we are not involved in a deep relationship, that's okay. That's fine. Not everybody has to listen to what I say. But when you feel emotionally involved, it means that this provokes some of your family concept. And this is how, in positive psychotherapy, we make this link to the past experience and we try to reevaluate it